Hello, my name is John Manion. I'm the curator of the Kaul Wildflower Garden with the Friends of Birmingham Botanical Gardens. This is a very special garden. It's 7 acres and it was begun in the 1960s by Bobby Kaul, the wife of Hugh Kaul. Bobby Kaul had contacted a Swiss landscape architect in the early 1960s and asked him to design this garden. It used to be a quarry. It was one of Roosevelt's WPA projects, and it is now the largest documented collection of native plants in the state of Alabama. We're at around 900 species. So it's a perfect location for a native plant collection. It's got varied terrains. It's got some areas that are wet and dry and full sun and shade. But what's very wonderful about it is that it's got a large surrounding of rock walls and just really gives it a beautiful look. There's a very special place in Bibb County, Alabama. It's called the Bibb County Glades Preserve. It is managed by the Nature Conservancy and is often referred to as the Botanical Lost World. The reason for that is in the 1990s, a botanist from Georgia was looking for a rare plant, and he ultimately found not just that one rare plant, but he found 9 new species of plants unknown to science. That's very exciting and very unusual in modern times to discover that many new species. Several of those plants grow only naturally in Alabama, and many of them grow only at Bibb County Glades. The property is about 400 acres, and the reason it's so different and why these unusual plants grow there is because of the glades ecology. It's Ketona dolomite. Dolomite is limestone, but this Ketona dolomite is very different in that the magnesium level is extremely high. That degree of magnesium is toxic to many plants. These plants have evolved over thousands and thousands of years to not only tolerate it, but to thrive in it. That degree of magnesium also prevents a lot of other plants from encroaching on this very special property. It's on the Cahaba River and is a must-see for anyone that loves special plants. We decided that we wanted to do a replication of the Bibb Glades, and we had an area that you see behind me that hadn't been used for anything. It was left over from the early days of the garden when visitors were allowed to drive their vehicles through the gardens. So it had never really used for anything, and it's adjacent to the Kaul Wildflower Garden proper. We found out that one of Vulcan's quarries had Ketona dolomite gravel, the same rock that Bibb County Glades is made of. They donated 2 large truckloads of the gravel in this garden behind me, and we turned it into a replication of the Bibb County Glades. We put the gravel down, then we added sand, and then we added compost. This was around 5 or 6 years ago, and we're very excited at how well it's done, and very excited that we're able to have this treasure right here in Birmingham. A few of the very special plants that we have here that I mentioned are not only endemic to Alabama, but endemic to Bibb County Glades. One of them is sticky rosinweed. It's Silphium glucinosum. It's a wonderful large textured plant, very tough, very drought resistant. It's done so well here that it's actually spreading. It's a strong, sturdy looking plant. Another plant that's very special here is Spigelia alabamensis, commonly called Alabama pinkroot, Alabama gentian pinkroot. That's one of the most charismatic plants that grows at Bibb County Glades and now here. The reason it's so charismatic is that it resembles a reduced pink morning glory. And what also makes it very special is that it flowers most of the summer. One of the plants that may be seen here in our Bibb County Glade replication, and indeed in other parts of the Kaul Wildflower Garden, is the longleaf pine, Pinus palustris. This is a plant that has a very storied history, cultural history here in the Southeast. It used to cover millions of acres, and over time, a lot of these trees were tapped for resin that will be distilled into turpentine and naval stores. Ultimately, a lot of those trees died out and not a lot of plants were being restored to those areas. So fortunately, several conservation organizations throughout the Southeast are now managing a lot of those sites and installing new sites with longleaf pine. One of the reasons it's so special is that it's our state tree, and also the fact that the needles are the longest needles of any pine native to North America.